Can you see me still? Am I too small? Am I small? Am I too small? Okay, anyways. Welcome to episode 4 of my 30 to 30 series. Today we're going to be talking about confidence. If you don't know, this series is for me to share some of the knowledge that I've learned in my first 30 years of life. And so I'm writing a different topic every day and then speaking about it. Today's topic, as I said, is confidence. You know, people ask me a lot about confidence. It's kind of like, I don't know, I guess my thing. It's one of my defining traits. People ask me about how they can be more confident all the time. They also ask me like, how are you so confident? Which I sometimes can tell they mean it as a dig. Like, how could you as a black woman be more confident than me as a non-black woman? And honestly, that's between you and God. But I am kind of an expert on confidence. I've had people ask me to help them build their confidence, whether it be just like personally, like they want to love themselves better, or they want to be more confident in dating, or they want to be more confident in their job or a skill. And so I have a lot of experience helping people with this. People come to me at different levels of security or insecurity, and I love to help people with this. First, I want to define confidence. I think confidence is really more of like your aura, spirit, vibe, whatever. You normally can tell if someone's confident. I can tell if someone's confident or not. I can smell insecurity on people. So it's like, you know how they're like, oh, like different animals can smell fear. Like I can smell insecurity. That is unfortunately the truth. And so that makes it easier for me to address it and help people grow. Now that we've defined confidence a little bit, well, I guess we didn't really define confidence. Define confidence: a feeling of self-assurance rising from one's appreciation of one's own abilities or qualities. That's really what we're talking about. This self-assuredness in your abilities, your qualities, who you are as a person. That's the kind of confidence we're talking about. In this video, I'm going to talk about building confidence first, and then I'm going to take you on my personal confidence journey, because everybody's journey is a little different. And so I think by shedding light on my journey, it'll help you kind of appreciate your own journey a little bit better, hopefully. When building confidence, I always start with helping people learn how to take care of themselves. You have to start by taking care of yourself. So that's your appearance, your body, your mind, and your spaces. That's primarily where we're going to look right now. When it comes to your appearance, the way you look oftentimes affects the way you feel about yourself. That's just how it goes. Sometimes you can definitely look perfect and awesome on the outside and feel totally crappy on the inside, but it often doesn't go the other way. Like oftentimes you don't see a person who looks like they don't care about themselves, and on the inside they're like, yeah, I'm so confident. Occasionally I will run into somebody like that, but it's oftentimes delusion. They are literally lying to themselves. When it comes to your appearance, to take care of the way you look, it's not just like about looking perfect. It's self-care, which is, oh my gosh, everybody's different. Self-care can look like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to do a whole self-care video, I think, because I don't want to go into all that right now, but self-care, just note that, okay? And then you want to learn how to dress for your body. For me, I had a really hard time learning how to dress for my body because I was in really religious spaces for a long time that demonized me for just having a body. I know, so crazy. Now I wear crop tops all the time, and I have learned the kinds of things that look better on my body, as opposed to just like dressing to be frumpy so that I don't tempt a man. A man's gonna be tempted regardless, because this face card doesn't decline. That's about me. But this is about you and your confidence. So you gotta learn how to dress for your body. If you want me to do a video on dressing for your body, let me know. There's also this trend, I don't love the term, but they call it dopamine dressing. And I think dopamine dressing is essentially just dressing in what makes you feel good. I don't think there's anything super revolutionary about that other than dressing to make yourself feel good, or dressing in things that make you feel good, sometimes can lead people to be like, well, why are you dressing like that? Like for me, I love crop tops. It's partially because I don't like wearing a bra, and a crop top is a great happy medium between no bra and a bra. But also I like having air on my skin. Like if I'm wearing too much clothing, I can't wear too many clothes. Partially because I get hot, but then also because I just like fresh air on my skin. That's just how I am, right? And so for me, dopamine dressing, or dressing to make myself happy, dressing in a way that is beneficial for me, doesn't just include, do I look good in this, but do I feel good in this? I think at the core of it, that's what dopamine dressing is. It's, am I dressing in a way that I like the way I look at the end, and am I comfortable physically? So those are the two things when it comes to dressing. I also think regular grooming is really important. For me, that includes making sure I'm not like letting my body hair get super long. I physically can't have my hair very long. It makes me go into sensory overload. So making sure that I'm doing that is really important. I also wax or dermaplane my face. You know, there's different things that I do to groom my body to make myself feel like good. And it's not about the way you look. You do end up looking better. That's like an awesome byproduct. But what grooming yourself does is it tells your brain that you're worth the time it takes to do whatever that thing is. So for some women, I've heard a lot of women say this, that when they do their makeup, it's like their reminder that like they're worth it. Like they're worth effort. They're worth time and money. And so whether you're a man or a woman, you can take time to invest in grooming. It doesn't take a whole bunch of time all the time. It doesn't always need to take an hour every single day, but figure out what works for you, try different things, and get into a regular practice of grooming yourself. Also, brush your teeth every day, wash your face every day, take a shower every day. Sometimes if you have stinky feet, wash your feet every day. Like if you feel good and you're clean and you smell good, you're going to feel better. That is just how it goes. I think also making sure you smell good, on that same vein, is really important. If I don't smell good, I'm disgusted with myself. I don't know why I'm like that. I think it's because I have a really strong sense of smell, but I think smelling good is so important. There's nothing like listen to me. When a guy smells good, he has a much higher chance of getting a yes if he shoots his shot than if he doesn't smell like anything or he smells bad. If you smell bad, it's an automatic no. I don't care how hot or rich you are. I don't care how funny you are. I don't care. If you stink, we can't be together because I have a super nose. So that's really important for me. That's not important for everybody, but I would just add that to the general, you should do this. You should make sure you smell good. That doesn't mean you need to buy a $200 bottle of cologne or perfume. You could. I personally have some perfume on my list and they are expensive, and so I haven't bought them. But I will buy the samples because the samples are only $7. You know what I mean? That's just personal though. So we're done with appearance. We've got self-care, dressing for your body, dopamine dressing, regular grooming, and scent. Next, we've got an organized and clean space. An organized and clean space helps you have less mental and emotional clutter. There's no way around that. I'm like kind of a maximalist. You can kind of see in the background. This is my actual apartment. I have stuff on the walls. I'm not like there's just a table in the middle of the room and a vase with a fake flower. Like that is not the way I roll. I'm totally a maximalist. I have paintings everywhere and plants and all kinds of decorations, but everything has its place. I clean every day. I think the older I get, the more I clean actually. When I was younger, and because I had really bad depression at certain points, it was harder for me to keep things clean. I'm in a place now where I am able to keep things clean. If you can afford it, get a housekeeper. Somebody who will vacuum and dust. Like that's bare minimum, and it's honestly typically not that expensive. that having somebody come once a week to vacuum and dust might run you $100 a month. So I'm just saying, keep your space clean. That's super important. I think that really speaks for itself. Again, organizing clean spaces equals less mental and emotional clutter. Last, we've got our mind and our emotions. This is still in the self-care space. Go to therapy. Therapy is super beneficial. First of all, I think everybody needs to go to therapy. One, because nobody has perfect parents, so you've definitely got parental wounds that you need to figure out. And those are going to really, once you can move past those, that will really help you build not only healthier relationships with other people, but most importantly with yourself. Because the way your parents treat you and the way you grow up heavily influences the way you view yourself as an adult. And even if you're a kid or you're a teenager, therapy I think is super beneficial if you have the space to do that. There's so many resources at this day and age, especially if you live in America. I don't think there's an excuse for you to not be able to go to therapy. Like, there are resources. You can get therapy for free. And if you've never had therapy, you might not get the best therapist in the whole world, but you gotta start somewhere. You can't be like, oh, why this therapist didn't really work for me. Like, therapy is so important. I happen to be a person who walks through people's first steps of therapy with them pretty frequently, because anytime somebody comes to me and is like, I'm having this issue, one of my first questions is, are you in therapy? Have you been in therapy? Did you talk to your therapist about this? Oftentimes it's, no, I've never been to therapy. Sometimes, occasionally, they're like, yeah, I did talk to my therapist about this. I'm like, good. Or they're like, no, I haven't talked to my therapist about it, but I'm glad you said something, so now I can. When you first start therapy, it's gonna be weird. It's gonna be different. And honestly, like, I'm trying to think of a nice way to put this. You kind of got to suck it up. If you want the end result of having a healthy, balanced life, you have to walk through uncomfortable things, therapy included. And so a lot of times I have to kind of have that hard conversation with people. I'm having it with you now. I mean this with all the love in the world and for your benefit. You got to just suck it up and go. You got to push through the awkward, oh, I'm so uncomfortable telling this person my things. They're asking me invasive questions. That's their job. Their job is to get to the bottom of your crap so that they can help you throw it out and bring new, better things into your life, into your psyche, into your mind, into your emotions, so that you can have a better life, point blank period. Sometimes you get a therapist that doesn't work for you. Like, if you're getting the vibe that they like hate you, definitely try and find another therapist. But I think a lot of times people expect therapists to be like, okay, so you just told me nothing about you, but I'm going to tell you all the things that you need to change about your life and all of the wounds that you need to fix, even though you didn't tell me anything. Oh my God, thank you so much, therapist. That's not how that works. You have to be open with your therapist, probably more open than you are with anyone in your life, in order to get the results you want. And a lot of times I also hear people be like, well, I just feel like I'm doing it on my own, like I'm not really getting anything from it. Again, you need to be honest with your therapist. This is my goal. This is how I want to feel in X amount of time. Is that possible? Do you think you can help me with that? And they'll be honest. They'll be, yeah, I can help you with that. Or, no, I can't. I've had therapists be like, I don't have any tools to offer you. And that sucked to hear, but it led me to figuring it out in a different way. And this was after I had been in years of therapy. This was not like month one, okay, my therapist is like, I'm out of tools to give you. I had already been in therapy for many years by the time I was at a place where several therapists were like, I don't have anything for you. And that was okay. That's another video that I'm sure I will get into eventually. But I cannot stress enough that therapy is so important. I think more men need to be in therapy. I think more people in general just need to be in therapy. There is nothing wrong with getting help. It's just like if you're bleeding, if you get a bullet wound and then the bullet never gets taken out and then you get an infection, you're not going to be like, well, I hope it goes away. No, you need to go to the doctor. It's the same thing. We have a lot of emotional wounds that we need to take care of in order to have a better life. I keep wanting to say betterful, and that's not a word. It's like, I think it's because my mind wants to say beautiful, but then I'm just settling for better. But I'm going to try and just say beautiful from here on out. You okay? Point blank period. Go to therapy. That's where health begins. Our next section in building confidence has to do with who's around you. So I want you to look at the people that you spend your time with. Are those people who you either look up to or you admire, or you want something that they have, not in an envious way, but like, I have friends who have really beautiful marriages, right? And so they're the people who I would go to and be like, if I was married or if I was with somebody and I needed dating or relationship advice, those are the first people I would go to, right? I'm not going to go to somebody who constantly fights with their spouse. That's like not what I'm going to do. If I want to be more emotionally healthy, I'm not going to go to the person who is not emotionally healthy. And a lot of people will be like, oh, well, I've been in therapy for so long and so I know all these things. But if you look at them, their life is still crazy. They don't make good decisions. They have no confidence. Like, those are not the people you want to go to. Just because somebody goes to therapy doesn't mean they're healed. Can't stress that enough. You want to go to somebody who you look at and you see when they have problems that they handle them with grace and with a sound mind. They're not like, time to do drugs, time to go get drunk. Like, you want to go to somebody who you want to be like. So you surround yourself with people who you want to be like. And nobody's perfect, but if one person has an attribute that you want and another person has another attribute that you want, those are the people you should spend time with. And I feel like that should be a given. But sometimes we stay in toxic relationships, not just romantic ones, friendships too. Lord knows I have exited my fair share. Okay? So if you look around and the people around you don't have lives that you want your life to look like, if their lives aren't what you deem beautiful, time to reevaluate who you got around you. And sometimes it's hard to let go of those relationships because you don't want to be alone, you don't want to lose your network. But at the end of the day, it is much better to be alone than it is to have people around you who cannot support you and cannot lift you up and cannot call you to your highest self. Period. If you do look around and you say, yeah, actually the people around me, I do want to be more like them, then you're in a really good spot, better than most. And bring those people even closer. Last, when it comes to building confidence, you gotta understand that it's an ongoing work. It's not something that like you just arrive and you stay there. I think this is with most, I would consider confidence and mental health matter. I would say with most mental health related things, it's an ongoing thing. It's not just, okay, I did all these things and now I'm here and I'm going to stay there. You have to constantly tell yourself affirmations, and you have to constantly be reminding yourself of the things that are true and the things that are good and your goals and all of the things that go into being confident. I'll probably make another video on this, just like a little bit more in depth of practices. It's tough because I don't want to tell you things to do that aren't going to be beneficial for you. These are things that everybody can do that I know will be beneficial, but when I work with people specifically on building confidence, there's specific things to each person that I like pray about, and I collect a lot of data about that person in order to kind of make them their own plan in order to move forward with having a more confident nature. I don't know, I might do another video, I might not, but again, there's so many ways to build confidence. These are just the things that I have found that work for everybody. You have to understand that some days are going to be really hard, and some days you're gonna feel like you're on top of the world. Some days you're gonna wake up and you'll be like, I couldn't be uglier, I couldn't be stupider, I couldn't be more of a loser. And then there's some days when you're like, I am literally royalty. That's life. That's literally just how life goes, and that's part of the journey. Sometimes you're just gonna have bad days. That's just how it goes. But again, it's an ongoing work, and it's an ebb and flow. It's confidence is not a place you arrive. It's something that you visit frequently. Now, I'm going to talk about my confidence journey a little bit because, like I said, I want you to be able to see where I started and where I'm at. And I think my journey is a little bit different than most people's, but I do think there is value in it because of the person that I am. A lot of times, especially in American society, honestly, I think around the world, as a Black woman, you are taught that you're just taught that you're at the bottom, and that leads to, like, it already sets you up to not have confidence, to not believe in yourself, to not love yourself. But that's more I don't know. It's a reoccurring theme because I was born into this body and I'm going to stay in this body. But, you know, when I was young, I grew up getting bullied for being Black and having, you know, different features than my peers. I grew up in a really Caucasian area and everybody was white. Like, everybody was white. And there was, you know, maybe like one or two Hispanic kids, a few Asian kids, but for the majority of my life, I was the only Black person. There was a few every now and then in my classes or in my grade, but so I was always bullied because of my Blackness and specifically my hair, which ended up being a huge pain point for me. And when I was little, maybe like around 9 or 10, I started noticing that adults, like in public or my family, friends or whatever, always used to comment on me being like so cute and so pretty, whatever. And so at some point I had this conversation with myself where I was like, well, adults know more than kids, so if adults say that I'm pretty, then I must be. And then the switch just flipped in my head, I think, and then after that, I still got bullied, but it didn't bother me as much because I was like, okay, well, you're a kid, you're dumb, which is so on brand for me. But I still had a hard time accepting my hair because I think the wound was just so deep, and like I didn't have therapy until I was in my early 20s. But part of my hair issue was I had to untangle some things, and so how ironic. That was like such a funny pun. Wow. But I had to untangle some things with my hair because not only was I bullied because my hair and it was ugly, but I always had such a hard time with my hair because it just takes so much to manage it and to get it to a place where it's like done, and because it's so curly and it's so dense, and it is beautiful. I love my hair now, but I didn't always, like I said. And so I had to learn how to separate those two things. Now my frustration with my hair, because I still have beef with my hair, I just the other day had a moment, but I still have a hard time with my hair, but it's because it's so much to manage. It's not because of what other people think. And so I can acknowledge that now, but when I was younger, it was like like one fed into the other. So when my hair was hard to manage, I was like, it's because my hair is stupid and being Black's the worst. And now I just don't feel that way. I'm like, dang, I'm gorgeous, and so is my hair, and you're lucky to even behold me, you know? But I also realized at a young age that I couldn't please anyone. It didn't matter. And I didn't have words for this at the time, but I think specifically because I was a girl and I was a Black girl, there's just, like, you just can't exist. You can't exist, and you can't make mistakes. You can't have a bad day. And so I was like, you know what? I might as well just do whatever I want, which again is so on brand for me. And as long as I'm proud of myself, I'm happy. I will say I have really high standards for myself and the people around me because I do want a beautiful life. And I was also raised by really perfectionistic people. And so that's something that is always going to continue to be untangled from my personality. I'm not really a perfectionist anymore. I definitely have let that go, but I do still have standards because I think I deserve good things. And so there's nothing wrong with that, but it is a slippery slope. Don't use these are my standards as a way to be a perfectionist or be mean to other people or yourself. But yeah, as long as I'm proud of myself, as long as at the end of the day I'm like, you know what, I was like good to other people, I lifted other people up, I did my job well, I put everything I have into whatever I'm doing, that's just the way I am, then I'm happy. So at the end of the day, like, it really doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. And if I do something that you don't like, that's so tough for you. So tough. It's a toughie. People always ask me where my confidence comes from, and for such a long time I would be like, I really don't know. And then one day I was laying in bed and I decided, I was like, okay, God, I'm gonna do like a deep dive into my brain. And so God helped me do this. I was laying in bed and I went back to all these different points in my life when I was a kid, when I was a young adult, when I was a teenager. And what I learned from that deep dive was that my confidence was actually always there. It was only after external forces said something negative about me that my confidence waned. And so, this is so vulnerable. I'm just kidding, it's not. It is, but it's not. So one of the things that happened when I was young is somebody in my family said I had a big nose. And that like stayed with me. I was like, oh my God, I have a big nose. I have an ugly nose. This is like a thing that in the back of my mind was always there for like such a long time. And it was like really damaging. And it was just somebody said it one time, right? And so that affected my confidence for so long. That's what I'm talking about. It was like, I didn't ever think there was anything wrong with my nose. I had looked in the mirror probably 1,000 times at that point in my life and never thought, oh, I have a big nose. But somebody said that, and then I was like, oh my God, I have a big nose. I'm ugly. I'm not, and I wasn't. But that's how that works. And so I had gone through all the different things that at some point I've had issue with in myself or of myself. And I could pinpoint the moments when actually that was planted into my life. And I was like, before that, I didn't have a problem with that. So actually, I learned that my true self actually just loves me. And I think all of us are that way, actually. And if we can go back and we can think about where did that seed get planted, we can pull it out at the root. And then, I mean, not that it's like super, not that it always works this way. For me, this is how it works, but I pull out the root and then I'm fixed. And so like, there's some things where over and over, if I hear something over and over, like the messaging that being a Black woman is somehow a bad thing, or being a person who has opinions and is strong. I mean, really, I just think I was born to rule. But some people, because of my Blackness, would say that I'm aggressive or whatever. You know, and so when you hear those kinds of things over and over, it does have an effect on you. But when you, again, I have to go in and I have to pluck those things out every time. And I have to remind myself, actually, no, that's their issue. That's not my issue. I actually love myself. I love myself. The person I am is the person I wanted to be when I was young. I wanted to grow up and be somebody who was strong and could be relied upon and was honest and what looked good and was talented and was funny. And look at me now. I could go on and on and on. You know, I am the person that I always wanted to be. And again, going back to my last point, like, as long as I'm proud of myself, I'm happy. So I think if you can adopt that, if you can go back and figure out where those seeds were planted, I think that'll really help you. In conclusion, confidence, I believe, is in all of us. Be strong enough to stand against what people in your life and what society has told you that is wrong with you. Unless you're harming people, don't do that. But your different characteristics are what make you an individual. And those unique things, your unique makeup is what helps you find your purpose, your people, and your gifts. So go to therapy. Embrace yourself, take care of yourself, and stop trying to change the person you are to fit somewhere that you are never meant to be, because then you'll never get to go to the places that you're supposed to be, and you'll never be with the people that are going to make your life beautiful. You'll only end up making things worse. So, be brave. I believe in you. I'll see you next time. Hold on, I gotta change my iPad settings. Oh, you're just a baby. Oh, just a baby. Just put that there.